Are we teaching our boys to be nice or teaching them how to be truly kind? There's a difference. Sometimes being nice means avoiding hard conversations or telling little white lies to protect someone's feelings. But real kindness often requires honesty, wisdom, empathy, and the courage to care enough to tell the truth compassionately. In this episode of Raising Boys with Purpose, we're talking about the difference between being nice and being kind. Why kindness should never be an excuse for being mean, how to raise teen boys with empathy and emotional intelligence, and how our sons learn communication and character by watching us. If you're raising a teen son or a young man, this episode will help you think differently about honesty, kindness, people-pleasing, and the kind of man we want our boys to become. Welcome to Raising Boys with Purpose, a Christian parenting podcast for moms raising teens and young adult sons. I'm Brooke, a boy mom and parenting coach, and here we talk about raising sons, building character, and preparing our boys for adulthood with confidence and faith. Now, for more encouragement and conversation throughout the week, come join our Raising Boys with Purpose Facebook group. The link is in the description. In striving not to hurt someone's feelings, are we actually hurting them more? Are we selling them short or not trusting them enough? Sometimes we tell a little white lie or soften the truth because we don't want someone to feel bad. And honestly, sometimes we do it because we don't want the fallout that might come with telling the truth. But the problem is, people make decisions based on the information we give them. And I think we've all probably had moments where we realized we made a decision because someone was just being nice instead of being honest. Now, I have a lot of thoughts. Not mean ones, just opinions. And I also have a hard time with lies. Not that I've never told one. I mean, I'm just human. But if I'm tempted to tell a white lie, I'll usually try to avoid giving my opinion in the first place. Because let's be honest, some people don't actually want the truth. So just be careful asking me for my opinion because you just might get it. The thing is, though, if I tell you I like something, you know I mean it. I'm not the person to say I like your dress if I don't. I'll be diplomatic, but you'll know. I never really thought about it, and my husband, he kind of thinks it's funny, but that's just kind of how I am. That is until a friend mentioned a clip from the Diary of a CEO podcast. They were talking about the differences between being nice and being kind, and she said it made her think of me. Well, I went back and I watched the clip and realized I'd actually seen it before. But this time it clicked because there really is a difference. So, what is the difference between being nice and being kind? Being nice is usually about politeness. It's focusing on agreeableness and avoiding conflict. Growing up, most of us were taught to be nice. And honestly, there's value in that. Society could probably use a little more niceness sometimes. Being nice helps social situations run smoothly. It helps people feel comfortable. It keeps interactions pleasant. But being nice can also stay fairly surface level. Being kind is different. Kindness is intentional. It focuses on empathy, compassion, honesty, and genuinely caring about someone's well-being, even when it's uncomfortable. And I think that's the part we have to teach our sons carefully. Because being kind does not mean being blunt, rude, harsh, or using, "I'm just being honest," as an excuse to be mean. Kindness without empathy can be cruelty real fast. Real kindness means being honest wisely, speaking with care, thinking about the other person, and wanting the best for them. That's very different from just saying whatever comes to mind. And honestly, sometimes the situation determines which matters more. If you're at a social gathering, being nice and agreeable are good traits to have. People are there to enjoy themselves. They don't necessarily want debates or criticism or strong opinions about everything. There's wisdom in learning how to be socially aware. Now, as a woman, if you meet me in the bathroom and my clothes are messed up, please be kind. Do not send me back out there looking like a disaster. That's where kindness matters more than niceness. But with the people we care about, our family, close friends, the people we're trying to help grow, kindness becomes even more important because sometimes love requires honesty. And this can be difficult because most of us are conditioned to avoid hurting people's feelings at all costs. And to be fair, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. But there's also a difference between hurting someone and helping someone grow. We've all had moments where we've looked at someone and thought, oh man, somebody should probably tell them. So when should we choose kindness over niceness? I think we have to look at our goals. Are we trying to help, protect, guide, encourage? Or are we just trying to make ourselves more comfortable? Because if honesty isn't coming from care, then it's probably not kindness anymore. It's probably just criticism. Sometimes opportunities for kindness happen in very simple situations. I was at a public venue once and saw a woman in front of me with chocolate all over the back of her dress. It looked like she had sat in syrup or melted ice cream or something. I could have been nice and just ignored it, but I chose to be kind and tell her because I knew I would want to know. I wanted to give her the chance to clean it up, throw on a sweater, or at least not spend the rest of the day unaware. And honestly, it was a risk. She could have been embarrassed or upset with me, but instead she was thankful. And as moms, we run into situations like this all the time. Sometimes with other moms, sometimes with kids, sometimes we're the ones receiving that kindness from someone else. Another hard example is when someone asks for your opinion on something they worked really hard on. Maybe a project needs work. Maybe something important is missing. You have to decide. Do I just say what's easy or do I say what's helpful? And again, this doesn't mean insults disguised as honesty. You don't have to be mean to be kind. You can be honest, diplomatic, thoughtful, and compassionate all at the same time. And I think our sons learn this more from watching us than from anything we say. They watch how we handle awkward situations, how we correct people, how we speak truth, how we respond when someone disappoints us. They learn whether honesty should come with humility or with arrogance. And honestly, the world already has plenty of people who are harsh. What it needs are people who are trustworthy, people who are thoughtful, people who are willing to tell the truth with compassion. That's the kind of man I think many of us are trying to raise. If you're like me, you've probably said the wrong thing before and then replayed the conversation in your head for hours afterward. It happens. Sometimes our best intentions don't land the way we hoped they would. Sometimes we're too soft. Sometimes we come across too strong. Learning how to balance kindness and niceness is something we're all still figuring out. But I do think in a world that often values comfort over honesty, we can teach our sons something different. We can teach them to be kind without being cruel, honest without being harsh, confident without tearing others down. And maybe most importantly, we can teach them by example. Because kindness isn't weakness, and it isn't mean. When it's done well, kindness can be one of the most compassionate and impactful things we give to the people around us. If this episode of Raising Boys with Purpose encouraged you, please like this video and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of this podcast. And if you're raising a teen or young adult son and want encouragement and practical guidance, come join us in the Raising Boys with Purpose Facebook community. The link is below. Thanks for being here today. Now grab your iced coffee, hug your son, and remember, you're raising him with purpose.